We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a special presentation of
Two Nerds, a podcast. Your home for everything movies, music, video games, and everything in between. With your hosts, Bunny the Bruiser, and Dynamite Jared Latching.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Two Nerds, a podcast. I'm Buddy the Bruiser.
And I'm Dynamite Jared.
And Jared, today we have one of my close personal friends on the show.
Yes, why don't you introduce him since he's your close personal friend, and this is my first time ever seeing him ever.
He's a writer and an actor, and he's got a new film that has premiered, and they're doing some encore screenings right now because it was so well received, they just had to bring it back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
critically acclaimed.
Jesse, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. Thank you, guys. It's great to be here. I'm really happy to be here and talking about the film and talking with you guys. As Buddy said, we go way back to the college days where we used to make some other low-budget, great quality films together.
Yeah.
And now I see you taking off with the podcast, and it's good to be here.
Cool. So we'll get more into it later, but briefly, just kind of tell us how and where people can see your film.
Yeah, well, the film is called Sic Transit Gloria. As Buddy said, I wrote the screenplay, and I'm also in the movie. We premiered it last Saturday at Geauga Lyric Theater Guild, which is in Chardon. We played to a sold-out crowd, which was really cool. We didn't realize how big it was going to end up being, which was really awesome. And then Geauga Lyric Theater Guild was nice enough to give us an encore screening to sort of build off of the good turnout we had. So Sunday, January 21st, there will be an encore screening at 7 p.m. at Geauga Theater Guild for anyone who's interested. And you can visit my Facebook page for ticket information, or you could just go to the Geauga Lyric Theater Guild website. And they'll help you out there. But the encore screening will be, again, Sunday, January 21st at 7 p.m. And we hope everybody can make it in there to check it out.
Yeah. So what is is there I know there's a Facebook page, but is there a Twitter, anything that people can go follow?
There's a Facebook page. There's also a website for it. You can go to getthepix.org/Sic Transit Gloria and check it out that way. As far as I know, if there is a Twitter page, I certainly am not running it. As far as I know, it's a page, but I guess since it's not me running the social media, I wouldn't be the best person to ask. So I'd say just visit the Facebook page to be safe. And if I find out more information that there's a Twitter and Instagram out there, I'll do some investigating on that one.
Cool. So where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with the current project and work our way back, or do you want to start from the beginning?
Buddy, I want to hear what your beginning sounds like. I start from
my beginning sounds like.
You say start from the beginning. That sounds much more interesting.
Cool. Well, let's focus on your beginnings. When did you first get started acting and wanted to do films and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of acting since grade school. It's something I've always kind of had an interest in, but never really kind of full throttle, put myself into. So I would take little acting classes now and then. 5th grade, I remember doing a play at a high school that my mom had gotten me into that I auditioned for. It was like Peter Pan, and I was just sort of in the background. But even with that, I kind of learned that it was something that I loved more so than anything else that was going on in school, more so than any academics or sports or anything like that. So I kept pursuing it little by little. My mom signed me up for some classes. High school, I took a ton of classes, but to my own stupidity in high school, I never really wanted to be the theater kid. For some reason, at public high school, there's a little bit of a stigma of being the theater kid, so I never auditioned for the plays. I just kind of quietly took the classes and didn't talk about it too much, and kind of held in the fact that this was my greatest love ever. So I did acting classes, took the film classes, learned more about movies, started realizing that I had a true love and passion for movies. Again, college, I started, taking classes in college, also getting involved in some workshops for some plays, to start studying that sort of aspect of acting a little bit more. And then at Kent State, as you know, Buddy, just to jump ahead a little bit, you guys did the Hell at Heathridge movie, which Buddy was a big part of. I was sort of walking home from class one day in college, and I saw that there was auditions for Hell at Heathridge, which I knew nothing about. I just saw open casting call, and it said you got to know a monologue, bring your resume, bring your headshots. And I was thinking, like, I didn't have any resume or headshots. Like, but I love acting and I want to get more involved in this. I'll try to check it out. So I stopped by there. That's where I met Buddy. Buddy was the casting director. He was sitting at a table. And I said, and I explained to him, I don't have a resume or headshots, but I'd love to try this out. And Buddy's like, oh yeah, here are the slides. I didn't know what slides were at that time. He's like, check this out.
You still don't know what that is.
I still know what this is.
Yeah. He's writing screenplays and he doesn't know what stuff is.
It hasn't changed. But yeah, so I went in and Buddy gives me the characters, and I was a little bit nervous, and I was like reading the character descriptions, and the one that jumped out to me was one that really did not fit me at all. It was written for like an overweight kid who was obsessed with eating, and like the scene was all about how he overeats and stuff. And I was sitting like 135-pound college kid thinking, oh yeah, this guy sounds like me without reading the character in too much detail. So I go into the audition, and Buddy, you're sitting there, and the cameraman's there, and you guys are like, okay, go ahead and read the scene. And as I'm reading it, I realized how like not fit I am for this character at all. Like it just totally just backfires. So I'm thinking like, oh shit, like there's no way I'm gonna get this, and this was a mistake. And then Buddy, you remember when I came in that I said I knew a monologue, and you're like, oh, do you want to do that monologue? Which I'm surprised you even gave me the opportunity to keep going after that scene. I thought you'd just be like, all right, carry it on. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'd love to do a monologue. So I did a monologue that I had in my head from a class I took in high school, where one of our final was to do a monologue, and it was from the movie Accepted with Justin Long, that I for some reason still was floating in my head. So I did that monologue, and I must have done a decent job at it, because after that is when Buddy said, oh yeah, we'll definitely give you a call. We hope to hear from you again. So you did. You gave me a call back. I ended up getting cast in Hell at Heathridge. It led to some other projects that Buddy and I worked on together. 48-hour film Ristretto, web series Second Time Around. But that kind of just spitballed the from there, just kept doing more film stuff, kept meeting more people, got into writing, kept acting, and yeah, that was sort of the beginning of it.
You missed out a key point in the story. It was before you met me, but you actually had an acting mentor.
I'm acting mentor. Why is that escaping me?
Did you block this from your memory?
An acting mentor?
Did you not have? I told you about this, right? That he was working with a legendary feline actor.
No, you never told me about this.
You skipped out the whole thing about how Sprinkles was training you.
Yeah, I had a cat growing up named Sprinkles, and well, first of all, my family and I would make, this was just me trying to do more film stuff, more acting stuff. We'd make like stupid short movies and put them on YouTube. And one of them was called On the Set with Sprinkles, which was our cat. And my brother's like running around in the headset saying like, oh, where's Sprinkles? She's going to be so late. We got to get Sprinkles. And this is before you know who Sprinkles is. And he ends it. He goes to go into the dressing room, and Sprinkles is sitting there, and she's a cat. And he's like, oh, Sprinkles, I'm so sorry for interrupting you. And he closes the door. But that was,
cat's like in the litter box, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's funny because remember my brother did an episode of Second Time Around. He actually used that as his audition tape.
Oh yeah.
Was on the
he played the same character basically.
Right. Yeah.
So Second Time Around and On the Set with Sprinkles take place in the same universe.
You guys had told me that someone needed to wear a headset, and I'm like, my brother wore a headset once for a movie. Maybe this would work for him. You guys that video, and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually perfect. And got him.
So tell us more about that, mate, because you guys have the whole DiFran collection of all these short films you guys did. I know there's a very notable one where you're playing poker with these children and essentially stealing all their money.
Yeah, and I can't tell you where those ideas really came from. Like, we made I don't know if you'd call it you definitely would not call it a production company, but you'd call it just a name that we went by, which was Collection. It was me, my brother, and my cousin. And whenever anyone had like a stupid idea of just something we should film, we'd film it under that label and put it on YouTube. And yeah, one of them was, my cousin and I were like working together, and I invited him over for a poker game, and he gets there and it's just me playing poker with like two kids and stealing all their money. And the scene's kind of just like, what are you doing? You can't play with these kids. You're just taking their money. And it's like these dumb ideas that we probably just came up with like randomly that thought would be fun to film. There's a couple on there where we'd hear like Taylor Swift songs and somebody would dress up like Taylor Swift and just like reenact the music video. So yeah, there's a few weird ones on there, but it's funny now to go back and look and say like, this is where the love of making stuff and writing kind of started with these stupid little movies.
I've
definitely been there. What with George's YouTube channel? There's still videos there of just
like Bigfoot and homeless people.
The Bigfoot and the homeless. What was the one? He's got like a few thousand hits, or maybe even more than that, on God, what's the name of the video? Freaking crack horror or something like that. I don't even know, but they're all just dressed up as damn. I'm not in this one. I was very politically correct and sound at the time. I was going to make the crack horror video, but they're all dressed up like women. I think they got their shirts all rolled up and like their chest area stuffed.
This might come a little full circle, but I'll let you finish your story because I thought of something in my head just now, but keep going.
And I mean that's basically it. And there's they're just kind of doing the whole thing.
And who was in this video?
It's George, Colin, our old friend Eddie Justice, my sister Julia's in this one, and Mike English. You probably only know George and Colin and my sister.
I know Mike.
Oh, okay.
Bands. But I was hoping you were going to say Dave Jones was in this.
No, he wasn't.
Because Jesse was just in a short with Dave Jones, right?
Dave Jones.
He might be.
You know what? I apologize to Dave Jones if I was. The name for some reason is not ringing a bell.
I believe he used a different name to be credited as. But I'm gonna pull up. What's the one you just did that Fred directed?
Oh, Voicemails.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up this poster.
Davy Jones. I always call him Davy Jones because that's literally
but I swear, unless I'm insane, Davy Jones is on this poster.
Oh, that is possible.
And it does not say his name is Dave Jones, but it's Dave Jones.
All right, let me see this.
He's credited as something else. But there he is.
Oh, that's Davy Jones, no doubt about it. That's him.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's a really good actor, too.
Did he go by Davy Jones, or what? Did he tell you some fake name?
I feel dumb for not knowing.
David LaFleur,
sure.
It says right here.
Oh, that's David a screen name for him.
He's got a screen name.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't feel so bad for not remembering.
We just outed him, by the way. Yeah. We outed his actual name.
That's his acting name.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. That was a short film we did with Fred Berry, who directed that, called Voicemails, about a guy who is walking to a friend's house one night and he ends up getting shot in an alley. And while he's kind of lying there dying, he calls up all these old friends that he had lost touch with, and sort of makes amends in some cases, and in others just kind of wants to say things he never said or apologizes to a few people. And there's one woman in particular who he kind of had a falling out with, who he wishes he hadn't, that he lingers on for a while. So yeah, that was a great project, the Fred work that we just shot a few months ago, that I think should be coming out soon. They don't tell me these things too much, but I think should be coming out soon, as far as I know.
Cool. And Cooey actually acted in that as well. I was surprised.
Ryan Garrett-Cooey?
Yeah, you know Ryan Garrett-Cooey.
Yeah. I actually know him through Davy Jones, I think.
Because they're from our hometown, and then I never knew Cooey, but I knew him in college, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Ashtabula," and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "How don't I know you?"
Yeah, they're both. Cooey did a great job too. We were filming in the library one day, and that was like the key scene with Cooey in it. And it was like we hadn't rehearsed it at all. We hadn't even been in the library yet, but we only had maybe a minute to shoot it. So we had to sit down really quick, just do the lines fast and get out of there. And Cooey was great. He was really professional. He memorized everything really fast. We did the scene, and it was probably the quickest shoot you'd ever see. Just
some gorilla awesome. In and out in a minute.
I don't know.
Just like your sex life.
Just like my sex life. I don't know what quick shoots are all about. I've never been a part of that.
So yeah, that was great. Probably the quickest shot. I mean, most shooting with that was a lot of takes, as you guys can imagine. But with that one, I remember we just had to go really fast, just because we had such a limited time in the library.
So yeah, let's go back, and because Hell at Heathridge was the first really like big thing that both of us were a part of. Let's talk a little. And I don't. Have you seen Hell?
I still haven't seen Hell at Heathridge.
But you're aware.
I know it's in Miles' top 10.
It is.
Yeah.
He saw it, right?
I don't know.
I swear to God, he went to like a premiere of it, and
I don't know if he was at the premiere, but he might have like rented it or something.
maybe he's like, I'm pretty sure he saw it and was like kind of like the Morgan Thompson treatment of it, like overly complimentary of it. All I know about this movie is what Buddy tells me, and it's usually not positive.
Well, I never say anything positive about anything I've ever done. So.
He's humble. He stays humble.
No, it's tough because, you know, there's so many people who make a movie and there's so many people involved with it that you don't want to like go out and say, oh, it's such a bad movie. But I don't know. With Heathridge, it is what it is. What it is.
I know that I say Morgan Thompson treatment because she grilled me for giving Unlucky 3 stars, I think.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 stars. And she's like, "You didn't give it 5 stars?" I was like, "Oh, just."
How I never actually found out from people how Unlucky turned out. I never saw it.
It was
or
3
really
out of 5, which is really good.
3 out of 5. Okay, that's
3 out of 5 is really fucking good.
Because I mean you were involved in it for a point. And,
that's right.
I mean, you read the script and you knew what we had to work with. So we did the best that we could with what we were given.
Okay.
That's what I say.
Well, I liked the script at first. I thought the first time I was sent the script for that movie, I thought it was pretty good. And then it seemed like each new draft I was given, like more and more creativity was drained out of it until it was just this complete, I don't know what to call it, but it was just very dry by the end of all these rewrites. It just seemed like it was almost just like by the numbers romantic comedy.
No jokes could have any raunchiness to it, I guess. It was all very tame.
And you guys salvaged 3 stars out of that.
Salvaged 3 stars.
Wow, incredible. My rating is the be-all, end-all rating of that movie, by the way. Roger Ebert could come out and grade that movie and still wouldn't have more weight.
I submitted a script to that screenplay competition that didn't win. And that Buddy decided not to direct, so
I had nothing to do with the decision. No, I believe the conversation went, we have to do this script because that's what the school wants, but when we're done, I will do your movie. But then,
we did have that agreement. Yeah. Yes. And I still believe that will happen.
Yeah.
Sooner or later.
Sooner or later.
That script is shelved right now, so hopefully.
Yeah. We'll get to it. But yeah, I will send you a link to Unlucky, and then I'm reviewing your movie. Please. I'm reviewing yours, so maybe we can do a little trade-off or something.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Cool. We can definitely do that.
But yeah, let's we'll stay back on track. We have a problem with doing that as well. We just kind of get sidetracked by everything. But yeah, tell us about Hell at Heathridge and your experience on that. From your perspective, because I was there, but or even like getting the call back or whatever, because we left off after the auditions. So what happened after that?
Hell at Heathridge, I mean, during the time was extremely exciting. I thought. I mean, like I said, I hadn't been doing too much acting at that time. Definitely not any film stuff. So when I auditioned, I was extremely excited for it. And then I thought I had kind of blown the audition with that read, so to get a call back, I thought was amazing. So I went and met you, Buddy, for a call back. You had me read for a role. I think it was Jason. Yeah,
you read for all 3 at one point.
Yeah, and then that was probably a little bit more appropriate for than some of the than the one I had read for, which was Dale. So it felt a little bit better then. So we did that, and then you told me, okay, I have to talk to my producers, but I think you did tell me, I feel good about it. I think it's going to work out. So we did that audition. I think a couple of days later, you called me back to read a scene with some of the producers. I know Tyler, the director, was there. Caroline Abbey was there. Did it for them. But then I didn't hear from you for like a week or two. And I thought that I totally did not get it. And then it got to the point where I got to a point where I really wanted it. Like after those 3 auditions, I was like, man, I really think that I was close to this and that I was going to get it. So then I started really beating myself up over, man, I should have done better. I shouldn't have read for Dale in the beginning. That was such a stupid choice. And then you ended up, I think you either sent me a text message or you called me to say that, hey, we want you for this character Jeff, who was kind of like this hipster-ish type nerdy guy. And you could have offered me anything at that point. I would have been so excited. You could have said, we just want you to be, clean up after the set, after we're all done filming. I would have taken it, gladly, just to work on the movie. So I was like so ecstatic at that. I was so pumped I was going to be a part of it. I went to the first read-through of the script. The writer was there. Tyler and Caroline were there. The whole cast was there. And that was great. I mean, what I would say about Heathridge, like, it did feel like you were working on a real production, regardless of how people felt about the material or not. Like, it did feel like you were with people who had a passion for what they were doing, who knew what they were doing, and who really wanted to do this. So the read-through was great. We went to the costume fitting, where I met the woman who was doing the costumes. I can't
Raina.
Yeah. And her first comment to me was, and there's no good way to say it, or no nice way to say it, but she just said to me, "You're too cute to be playing Jeff," because she saw him as being like this really weird guy. Yeah. And she's like, "I need to start growing out all your facial hair. I need you to start growing out your hair completely." So up until this point, I was always clean shaven. I never had a beard or anything. So I was like, okay, I guess I could do that. So I started growing out the beard, and I think, Buddy, you and I had the same type of beard that summer.
Yeah.
Which was extremely hot. And we were shooting with these huge beards.
I didn't have to wear the ridiculous Argyle sweaters and stuff, though.
Yeah, right. It was extremely hot, and I'm wearing these huge sweaters, these layers of clothing, and so he was he was a weird character. He was kind of the guy that no one wanted to be around. Not filming wise. I think filming wise, hopefully people wanted to be around, but you don't
know what they said behind your back.
Yeah, we'll never know. But he was that type of guy that like that. Yeah, So yeah, that I thought that shoot went really well. And then we had the premiere and everything like that, and everybody came out to it, and kind of you draw your own conclusions on how you felt on the movie. But I thought that was great, and the fact that led to the second time around and all those things was awesome too. So it was a great experience with Kent State Independent Films. I definitely have no regrets with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Second Time Around a little bit, because I don't know if he'll be listening to this or not. I'm assuming once he finds out you're in this, that Caleb Ference will be listening to this podcast.
Oh yeah.
if he finds out you're in, and Second Time Around was his passion project. So
yeah.
Tell us about, because in Hell Heathridge you were the supporting character mainly,
right,
but Second Time Around was all about you. So tell us about what's Second Time Around about, for those that haven't heard of it.
Awesome. Yeah, Second Time Around was about one guy who was about to graduate grad school, and his life hadn't really gone the way he hoped. He was about 26 years old. He already had a failed marriage. His career in photography and journalism hadn't really taken off. And you see him one day in his life in the first episode, where he's arguing with his ex-wife. He didn't get the job he wanted, and he's just kind of saying, life sucks right now. And he goes to this waterfall, says, I wish things had gone differently for me. It sucks. And then he wakes up. I haven't watched Second Time Around in a while. I think I'm going to make sure I'm getting it right. He wakes up and he's back.
I believe it's freshman year, so 6 years.
But he wakes up at freshman year, right?
Yeah.
He wakes up and he's back at his freshman year, and he's given this chance to sort of do it all over again. But we're missing the whole thing about the suicide in the beginning, though.
Okay, so it starts out in 2012 or something.
Right.
You meet your wife. It fast forwards.
That's right. You're right.
To the future. You don't get the job. Then it goes all the way back to before you met your wife.
Thank you for explaining my filmography to me.
Yes.
that is true, though. So it does. It starts off when he's younger, goes to when he's older, and you see how things got bad, and then jumps back to his freshman year, and he's given the chance to start it all over again. Wakes back up. He can't believe what time it is, so he wants to go back and sort of change things and see if they're any differently. But that was a really well-written series. Caleb did a great job. And that was something I saw the casting call online. I saw that Caleb was a part of it, and I briefly met Caleb at Heathridge, but I didn't get to talk to him that well. So I honestly didn't even know if I made an impression, or if he was even going to remember me. But as soon as I walked into the auditions, he was like pumped that I was there and excited that I was auditioning. So I did that one. I read from the sides, as Buddy calls them. And then I wasn't really sure what to make of that either. But then pretty quickly I got a call back, went to that, read with a bunch of different people, and ended up getting cast in the lead on that, which was really great. And then it turned out to be a 6-part web series. We did one. The pilot was about a half hour long, which ended up being a huge success. We released the pilot, and it shot to like 1,000 views on YouTube really quickly, and people were sharing it all over the place, and we were getting great feedback. But then it kind of got to the point where we're like, oh man, we got to make some more. So we jumped into the production onto the second episode. And the second episode, we really wanted to get it out quickly, so it ended up only being like 5 minutes long. But we wanted to get just 10 out there. And we did. And then, more and more writers wanted to get involved. More and more filmmakers wanted to get involved. So it kind of became a huge collaborative process between so many different people. And when you watch it now, you can see that, because I think there's so many different styles to each episode of it. From a lot of people who like you, Buddy, did it, and Keegan did it, and Matt Petrunik did it, and so many people who still went on to do like these awesome things, who were like sort of experimenting with stuff with second time. I think it's like so cool when you watch it now. I
haven't watched it since basically the time we did it. So yeah, it'd be
same here. It'd be great to go revisit it. I know probably about a year ago I sat down and watched a couple episodes, and it still holds up. Like I think it's still a really good show, writing wise and production wise. So it's really fun to revisit. And like I said, Caleb just did a great job. And Caleb, what was great about it too was that it was his baby. I mean, he was the executive producer on it, but he was very open to lots of different collaboration. I mean, any ideas I had with the character, he was more than happy to hear those out. Any ideas that any other writers had, or any places they wanted to take it, he was open with that. And I gotta imagine when you're writing a series like that, it can't always be easy to just open it up to anybody's interpretation or anybody's ideas. But he definitely did, and I think it's great. I'm waiting for the call on season 2. My phone hasn't rang.
Phone hasn't rang.
Whenever he calls, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was one of the funnest experiences filming second time around.
One of the biggest challenges with that, I guess, it was not only switching directors every single episode, but also for the first episode, like you said, it was a half hour. We had a whole semester to work on it, and then the second semester we had to crank out 5 by the end of the year because everyone was going to leave. Right.
So that was tough. I mean, we definitely kind of had to go into overdrive second semester and work around the clock. But like I said before, by after the first episode aired, we had so many people who wanted to get involved with it that we really had the talent and the commitment to keep it going for a whole another semester and to do it much quicker than we did before. So that's what made it a lot easier, was that you were working with people who really wanted to do this and had the skill set to do it. So even though we were filming quicker, it still felt like the same amount of care and talent was skill was really going into each episode. So it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good in the end.
I have a question for you, like as an actor, because like normally on TV show, like on like Friends or something like that, there's different directors for every episode.
How'd you know that I'm watching Friends right now?
Are you watching it for the first time?
No, I mean, I used to watch it growing up all the time, but now I'm actually like watching it. It's one of those relaxing shows that you can just put on and watch for like hours.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying it.
Well, we were talking on our last episode, last week's episode, that Friends just got available on Netflix for the first time in the UK. So everyone in the UK is watching it for the first time, and they're just flabbergasted by it.
Yeah, they're blown away.
Yeah, what is this amazing new program?
They're mainly just complaining about the hairstyles and
no, it's mostly Ross. Most people are just complaining about Ross.
That he's very mopey.
Everyone hates him.
Oh, I think Ross gets funnier as the series goes on though, because they kind of play up how he's kind of a nerd and all his little like quirks. I think he's a funny character.
Ross's twin. And the one that was like, He was funnier than Ross just because it was just like the imitation of Ross or whatever. Russ, yeah. Okay.
So while we're on the topic of Friends, question for you. Me and Jared share the same opinion on this. Were Ross and Rachel on a break? Yes or no?
Wait, are they on a break right now?
No,
were they on a break?
Were they? No, yeah, they totally were. They totally were on a break.
I think this is a universal male opinion on this. They were 10 billion% on a break.
They were, though. I mean, first of all, they were on a break. Second of all, he called her from the bar, and she had that guy in her apartment.
She did.
Yeah, and so I think Ross really, I think what he did was pretty forgivable in that state. I mean, I think all he had to do was explain this. And first of all, it was Rachel's idea to take the break, too. It wasn't like Ross said, let's go on a break, and then he went and cheated on her. She said, I want to take a break. Then she had this guy over her apartment. So I think that it was pretty, she was being a little bit harsh. And then she was being even more harsh when she found that note about the things that he didn't like about her. When she found out, when he broke up with the one girl and she was going to get back together with him, but then she saw that he had written a note that said
the things they like and dislike about each girl.
Right. Yeah, so I thought that Rachel's a little, but she has a right.
All he said was that she had chubby ankles or something.
I know, right. I know. She's a beautiful woman though, and she's smart, and she has the right to make him work as hard as he absolutely has to. So I don't blame her, and so still a good show.
Yeah. So anyway, back to second time around. So as I was saying, like with Friends, there's different directors for every episode, but it's all overseen by the same producers, writers, all that. So all the episodes kind of feel the same. But with second time around, there's definitely like tonally, like the episodes are different. Stylistically, they're different. So I was just wondering, like, from an actor, like, what was it like having to deal with a different director every episode, and having all the episodes are, like, very different from each other. Like, some are very comedic. Mine was, like, a soap opera, basically. It was all emotional. And some are just, like, a mix of both. So, like, what was that like, dealing with all these different...
I look at it like you can watch 10 X-Men movies and get one thing, and then watch Logan and get something totally different because it's a different interpretation on it. So the character, I think, stays consistent throughout each 6 episodes of second time around, but you had different directors who had just a different interpretation of the events going on and different ideas for where they wanted to place that character. So for me as an actor, it didn't really change, because once I figured this guy out, once I had his backstory down, once I knew what he wanted, once I understood that mindset, that stays consistent. Now, if there's different directors who want to explore different sides of that mindset, which is what was going on, I think that's awesome. I think that's totally amazing that they want to do that they don't just stay completely glued to one idea of it. So that's how it kind of felt like. I mean, it just kind of felt like each time I'd get somebody else who would say, hey, I'm more interested in kind of looking at it from this angle or approaching this side of it. Some wanted to focus on the comedic aspects and just keep it light, and some people like you, buddy, I know specifically wanted to focus on make it a little bit darker, wanted to show other sides of it. The character doesn't change, but just I think the way the audience views it and the way we approach it changes a little bit. So from an acting standpoint, I think that's awesome, because it just gives you the chance to explore each side of the character. You spend so much time. As an actor, you spend so much time creating these guys that to not be able to sort of showcase every side of it sometimes feels wasteful, and to have directors who are interested in every aspect of it, I think that's an awesome thing to have on a set. So I was definitely proud that it can jump around like that.
Cool. Did you have anything to ask about second time? I mean, because you haven't...
I've never seen second time around.
Like, are you curious about anything about it?
It sounds like an interesting concept. So is it still on YouTube? Can I go watch? All right, yeah, so I'll probably go watch it at some point. I was just going to make a comment that Buddy made the serious episodes because he's not funny at all. He's always trying to make the podcast way too serious. I'll tell a joke and he'll just give me that look. It was like an awkward silence for a little bit.
Yeah,
that happens every episode.
That's it.
Yeah, look what you're doing right now. I'm making a joke and you're just staring at me.
I think that's part of the charm.
Yeah, we meant to have a premiere for second time around, but that never.
I know.
Never happened. for some reason.
I know we had talked about that, like showing all the episodes, and I don't know what happened with that either. I think that we should still get that on the books. I think we can still
get Caleb. We got to get Caleb on the show. Ask him about what's going
I know.
on.
You got to get. I want to find out.
So we're waiting on a premiere. We're waiting on season 2.
We're waiting on the DVDs of season 1.
The DVDs released in season 1.
When Caleb made the Kickstarter for it, one of the goals, like the things you could pay for, was like a DVD
box set.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone ever got those.
No.
Oh.
No.
I do predict that one day Caleb is just going to pop up and have a whole season 2, 24-hour-long episodes written and ready to go. He's going to call up the cast and I will drop everything I'm doing and say, yeah, I'll make this with you right now. Let's make season 2. I don't care how many episodes you want to make.
I think Caleb should bring back the sandwich vlogs. Are you aware of the sandwich vlogs?
No, I don't even know about
Caleb had this was before I met him, but Caleb had his own web series where he would talk about his week, essentially, and while he would do it, he would eat a unique sandwich.
Oh,
so
man.
One episode you could just get a normal like ham sandwich, but sometimes you'll get like peanut butter and M&Ms. But he would just eat the sandwich, talk about Men in Black 3 or whatever was going on that week.
You were talking about Men in Black 3?
I think Men in Black 3 came out around the time he was doing this web series. I believe he took them down, but
do these still exist anywhere? Can you find them? You can't find.
I'm sure he's got an archive of them somewhere.
Does he make comments about the flavor of the sandwich as he's going on with it?
It's just a lot of chewing noises.
So if it's like a particularly delicious sandwich, he's not just like, yeah, Men in Black 3 was mediocre, but damn, this sandwich is good.
It was nothing like that, but there were some episodes where it was more
I
heavy.
hope it's exactly like that. I watched a marathon of that.
There were definitely more episodes where you could tell the sandwich was not ideal because there's a lot more talking. The episodes were just him eating.
You can tell the sandwich is good if he's just kind of eating the sandwich and he like steps back and takes a look at it. Gives it a nice nod of appreciation, and then continues.
That would be awesome.
This is my director's take on that. Is at the end of every episode, he'll give his week a score, and then the sandwich out of 5 score.
I've always told him that he should bring it back because now he's not on the whole sandwich thing. He's was really into like those soda streams and making all these different drinks. So he did a thing called like 30 Days of Drink. But he would just like post it on Facebook. I was like, why aren't you doing videos of these? Like this would be like good. But hopefully this year we can convince him to do it.
He did get really into those soda things. I mean, every time we went over to his place, he was making soda for everybody. So he was. Are you
aware of soda streams, Jared?
I've like, I mean, I was alive when this was kind of like a thing. I remember my ex-girlfriend got like sort of like a soda making machine for Christmas. Like,
and that's what he would make, like apple pie soda and like all this like weird stuff.
He did crazy stuff. It was always good though. I mean,
my ex never made
made you anything.
She made like some like when she first got it, but like it died down very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't even think I was drinking soda when this stuff kind of happened.
Caleb's a stand-up guy. We should have him on the show. That would be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah,
he'll teach you a lot of stuff.
Should have had us together.
I didn't think about it.
I'm interested in these damn sandwich videos. That really caught my attention. That sounds
I gotta be honest. As soon as you mentioned the sandwich videos, I immediately thought that's more interesting than anything I've ever acted in or written. Go on about what I've done when that exists somewhere.
That's American culture because there's not much more fascinating than a goddamn sandwich. Right?
That is true. That's Americana. Yeah, that's a huge brain in it. Like,
I love that kid so much.
I miss him.
Yeah. But, so second time around ended. It was senior year. We all kind of went our separate ways. So.
Well, kind of. Not yet, though, because we did Ristretto.
We did Ristretto, and we started Out of the Silence, which...
Oh,
Which you never finished. You got fired. We finished the whole thing, premiered at Sundance.
Got fired?
He got fired, man. He got out. We premiered the thing at Sundance, but we lost the Oscar to the one about SeaWorld, the documentary category.
What'd you get fired for? What kind of controversy was that?
That was actually news to me. I thought the whole project was canned, and now Buddy's telling me it was just me that was fired, and they actually went on to Sundance and everything. So this is sort of this is an enlightenment for me because I really didn't know all of this.
Damn,
but,
buddy, can you enlighten us?
I'm still happy for you guys.
Yeah,
but that
what happened? What happened here?
Buddy and I were approached about hosting a documentary called Out of the Silence about cochlear implants for the deaf. It was going to be written and directed by an actual deaf person who had gotten a cochlear implant, and he was a really interesting guy. Buddy and I went out to go meet him, I think in Canton, Ohio, I want to say, and we got coffee. Around there, got coffee with him. He explained to us the whole idea, how we're going to go interview all these different celebrities and people. We're going to go to hospitals and talk to doctors. We're going to travel the United States and make this awesome documentary. And Buddy and I were so on board with it. That sounds great. We went back to Kent State and we told them what we were doing. Kent State wanted to do an article on it.
We've got front page of the paper.
Front page, yeah. We're on the front page of the Kent paper about what we were doing, and we were so excited. And then we just never heard from this guy really again, and it never ended up happening. So I don't know if that project ever actually went on without it.
I know, in all seriousness, we thought it was we shot a Kickstarter promo for it.
Yeah.
But then after that, we never heard anything for years. And then just last year, they made a new page for Out of the Silence documentary, same guy. And I guess they're doing it now, or they might have stopped doing it again.
Wow.
But basically, we were both out.
And now they have Martin Scorsese and stuff like that. Okay,
yeah.
So I honestly, I really don't know what happened with that. But
DiCaprio's hosting it. We were replaced. Bad. But we were excited about that. But yeah, that never ended up happening. I still have it's funny because I have the paper here somewhere of you and I on the cover.
Yeah.
And I'll show people and they'll ask me what was this project about? And I'm like, well, we really don't know. We never actually made it.
Yeah.
But we are on the cover of this magazine.
But we're on the cover and we were happy as hell.
In all serious, you could put those photos online and it would just look like we're in a Law and Order ripoff because we're wearing these suits with our arms crossed. And
oh my god.
Yeah. And people and a lot of people didn't realize because I wonder if I have 1 second. I want to see if I have the cover. Yeah, so can you see?
Yeah, we can see it.
On the cover?
We don't see me, we see you.
Yeah. They
Hold it back a bit. Get us both in there.
They'd put our faces together and it looked like we were just one person. But yeah.
Pull it back a little bit.
We just see the words.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there it is.
There we are.
There we go. Look at that.
And there's a whole write-up on it. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that I save.
And there we are. Oh, I've got 8 copies because my mom had me just grab a whole stack of them. So I've got at least 20 of them at my house.
Man, it sounds like an exciting time for you guys.
Yeah.
I still consider this project that never happened my greatest accomplishment. Greatest thing I've ever done.
Well, you got fired, and I mean, now that the documentary's gone on to such success, you know what I mean? Just to have your name even mentioned in the same breath is quite an honor.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
Yes.
I think that's a huge thing. So, what are you going to do?
But around that time, we did do the 48-hour film Ristretto. Yeah, I almost forgot. I forgot that was the same time period as that.
That was probably that. I want to say that was the summer after we graduated.
It was because we finished second time around in June, and then I was already the director with Andrew for the 48-hour film. So while you guys were finishing second time around, we were working on getting the 48-hour stuff situated. Yeah.
And I remember. We were doing the 48-hour. You guys had asked me to act in it because with the 48-hour, as a lot of people know, you don't know what movie you're making until the night you start making it. So 7 o'clock, they give us our genre, our main character, our line of dialogue, and I think that's it. And then you start working. So they gave us that. We started conceptualizing right away. I sat in the writer's room for a few minutes, but I didn't contribute at all, so I ended up leaving. I know we got film noir, so they were trying to figure something out. And then I saw the first draft of the script that they were working on, and I really liked it right away. And I didn't know who I'd be playing it or not. And I remember specifically taking Buddy aside and saying, Buddy, you have to make me the lead character in this. I'm committed to this for the whole weekend. I'm not going to sleep. I'll do it, but you have to make me the main character. And I was like really selfish with it, which I try not to be when I do stuff. But everybody's like, all right, well.
Backstage politics right there.
And all the actors were friends, so he's politicking against
everybody in the back.
Which I hate to do, because as an actor, I'm kind of like, hey, it's, I work with a lot of people who, first of all, if I'm going to work with you, it's because I respect the way you direct and I expect your vision for it. So I try not to say like, oh, this is what you should have me doing, because I want them to do what they think is going to be best for what they're imagining. But with that, it was kind of like, buddy, I really need you to put me. I think I'm really, really good at this. I need you to make me the lead character. So, and buddy, you did not say like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it for you. You said I'll think it over, and I think you had.
Well, I couldn't let you know right then. Just like when you auditioned for Jeff and I forget your character in Second Time Around, Austin or whatever.
Yeah,
we knew right away, but you can't tell you that.
Right. So, and that's fine. Yeah, and that was good. So you had me read for some stuff, and then you finally said that we want you to play the lead in this, and I was so excited because I love the idea of doing a film noir. I loved working with you and Andrew. So we did that 48. That was our first time doing 48 hour. We all stayed up the entire weekend and shot. Turned it in Sunday night. That Sunday night at like 7 p.m. And then had the premiere. And that was when the 48 hour was in Tower City. So I think the premiere was there. And
it was like a month later or something like that.
Yeah. And I don't think we were nominated for any awards or any. Or
we were nominated for 4, but we didn't win any.
Well, here's the thing with that. The thing with that, though, because at first they released, like, I know we ended up getting nominated for, like, some stuff, but at first they released the nominees for, like, the big stuff, like Best Picture and Best Actor and Best Script and that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff, like, you really want. Yeah. So I was, like, checking back all the time, the website, to see if they listed anything, and they weren't. So one day I'm at work, and I was managing a pool at that time, and I get a call from Rachel, the actress in the movie, and I'm not at my phone, so she leaves a message, and she goes, Jesse, have you checked the website? Oh my gosh, you're going to pee your pants. That's how she worded it. So I go and I check the website. I go check the website, and we're not nominated for anything. So I call her back, and I'm like, Rachel, you just told me I was going to pee my pants. Like, we're not nominated for anything. And she's like, I know, that's why you're going to pee your pants, because we weren't nominated for anything. I'm like, who pees their pants out of anger? Like, what kind of very one sentence was that? She made it sound like it was like this great, amazing thing. Like, it's something to be excited for. So I was a little let down by that. But I think we all did a great job with Ristretto.
We weren't nominated for any of the major stuff, but I think we were nominated for Best Use of Genre, Best Locations, and like a couple other things. Which I don't know how we got Best Locations, because we literally were shooting in an abandoned apartment with just a bunch of garbage all over the floor.
Yeah, right. Well, we had that shot that we did at like 3 a.m. though, of like a vacant Kent State downtown, which I think probably...
Oh, the bike chase?
Right, the bike chase, yeah. Because it almost looked like we had shut down a street to do that, because we filmed it so late. So I think that probably helped us, a little bit.
Yeah. But I don't know how much you remember from the 48-hour film, but just kind of take us through that whole experience for you.
I had never done it at that time, so I didn't know what to expect with it. I knew that you weren't going to get very much sleep. But like I said, you didn't find out really what kind of movie you're making until that night. So we got all the stuff. Everybody kind of, once we found out we were doing film noir, everybody like packed into a little room and started like throwing stuff up onto a whiteboard. Like, oh, we should do it this way, or we should have this kind of character, or this is what we should focus on. And probably during that time, we probably had too many people in that room like throwing stuff out.
We did, for sure.
Yeah. So I think our main writers eventually got overwhelmed with all that, and they like kind of ran away from everybody, went outside and started like concepting on their own and talking over, okay, here's what we should do. And I think that's when the story around it started really coming to life, when they kind of like put themselves in a room and started writing it. So once that happened, they locked themselves in a room, and they started writing. Then we the actors were, and I think I'm remembering this right, the actors, we were given the script before any of us knew who would be playing. We were just shown what it was. And that's, again, when I fell in love with the main character. So we had the script. That's when I talked to Buddy about who I wanted to be. We eventually found out who everybody had been cast as. We had limited time to really prepare a character, so you kind of right away had to...
Because the way we did the script was, in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have done it this way, but we had like 6 actors or something like that, and we wanted to write for everyone, because normally, like, you would have like a bunch of actors and then only use like 2 of them, but what we were trying to do is include everyone. But I'll get into the drama with that in a little bit with one of the actors. I don't know if you remember this or not, but when it comes to it, I'll talk to you about it. But yeah,
I don't think so.
I believe we wrote the character specifically for you when we did
that.
Oh,
okay.
Like I might be remembering it wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
That's why I fell in love with him, because he was already me.
Yeah. I think that's how it went down. I could be remembering that wrong, but anyway,
that makes sense.
Continue.
So then it was kind of like we're going to start shooting, and I know like you guys wanted to film that bike chase downtown first, which was good because it gave me and the other actors like a good amount of time to start preparing. So right away you start writing stuff, you start thinking about how you want this character to look, how you want him to talk. You kind of have to make some quick. When I do a typical acting role, usually you give yourself a good amount of time to really start preparing. Okay, what's his backstory? Where did he come from? Why does he do these things? And with this, you're given a few hours to sort of figure all that stuff out. So you kind of have to really make quick decisions and be able to back those up. I remember with Chase, I wanted to establish that he was going to, he's a young guy. He'd probably been through a lot of stuff. He wasn't a very big guy, so we kind of had to overcompensate with the way he carried himself, that he was still, going to be intimidating if he was in the role he was in. So my first thought was I'll give him kind of like this thick, Brooklyn-ish accent that should almost feel a little bit weary and like almost not properly placed, because it's clear he's doing it to try to fit in or to make himself look more than he is. So we threw that in there. Which in hindsight, looking back, it was kind of like, oh, that accent probably wasn't that properly placed as it should have been. but we threw that in there. We made those kind of choices with it. That stuff I would talk over with you and Andrew. And then another thing was, just because you're shooting around the clock, it's just going to be a short film, you wanted to make sure that you're kind of really get to know that character quickly. So for that reason, I wanted to do it almost in a method way, where I stayed with the accent, stayed in the character the whole time we were shooting. So I think I asked you and Andrew to call me Chase throughout the duration of the shoot. I kept the same accent, which made it good. I think which for something like that, I still feel like you kind of have to do it that way, that kind of character. But yeah, then we filmed through Sunday. By the end of it, we were all just so dead and ready to fall asleep. I specifically remember you, buddy, after we cleaned everything up, just like yelling out to everybody, "All right, I'm going to bed," and like just like jumping into your car and driving away.
I don't remember. I very well could have.
That's frequently how he leaves me too. Actually, it's just like we'll stand there for a second. All right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. Goodbye. He just jumps in the car and leave, and then we all just kind of passed out for the next couple of days, and then I think waited to hear what the news was on the movie. But yeah, I think that is a great way to work on a movie, and to not like, and I guess in a kind of ways like force your creativity. When you have a short period of time, you have to force yourself to make quick creative decisions, and it's always interesting to kind of see where your mind goes when it's under that kind of stress and that kind of pressure.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you if you remember the drama with one of our actresses who was upset.
The girl in the bath?
Yeah. Were you there for that?
Because I heard about it.
Okay, so we were on set, so yeah, I only heard about it too. I wasn't aware if you were at base when that all went down. Mm-hmm. But do you want to tell the story, or should I?
I think you should. You probably know it better than I do.
I'm going to see if I remember this correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So Jared, we had this actress. Okay. What's up?
No, I was going to say, I think it's actually on the IMDb page.
Is it? Yeah, because I think I added it there.
Oh, did you?
Go ahead and read that out. If you're pulling it up, go ahead and read that out.
Well, I just want to see what it says on the page. I'm going to check really quick. So, I'll also, one quick thing while I'm looking this up is that I think we decided to call it Ristretto at the last minute, and no one really knew what that was. I think it was Josh's idea to call it that.
Because he worked at at Starbucks. Because basically,
right.
So when they give you the 48-hour film, they give you a character, and like the character has to have a specific job and a name. So the character's name was Stephanie, and she was a barista. So you had to have Stephanie or Steven in your movie as a barista. So we were kind of thinking, well, we should name this after some sort of coffee. And we had someone who worked at Starbucks. He's like, oh, name it Ristretto. And we were like, all right, that sounds cool. It's a film noir. But none of us knew what the hell that was. Yeah. But I guess it's like a watered down something. Double shot of espresso or something.
Yeah, it's like a concentrated cup of coffee. And it's like it's tiny, but it carries like the biggest punch, I guess, of any shot of espresso. But when they asked us during the Q&A after the movie, none of us knew what it was. So we were just like, oh.
Yeah.
So it's like, and like obviously that would be the first question we get in the Q&A. So like, oh, what does your title mean? And we're all just like, oh, we really don't know. But then,
I think that's in the IMDb facts as well.
But I'm looking here. It says in Ristretto, Chase Bannon refers to his secretary Anna and even speaks with her on the phone. The character was meant to appear on screen in a scene that took place right before Chase enters Stephanie's destroyed apartment. However, complications arose where the actress decided to leave the production only a few hours before her scene was scheduled to be shot. Before she even chose to no longer be a part of the production, this actress was given many of the crew members' difficulties. It has been reported that she was barking and snarling like an animal to some of the crew members, as well as locking herself in the bathroom and refusing to come out. She proceeded to take a bath and emerged from the bathroom several hours later, only speaking in grunts. After this, she packed her things and departed from Evil Pony Pictures production house. Her whereabouts are still unknown.
Which is all true, supposedly. We weren't there. We were on set shooting, but they were with everyone else, and I guess she like flipped out or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
But what did the IMDb page say about the premiere?
About it says the title Ristretto refers to a drink of very strong concentrated espresso. When asked during a Q&A session following the premiere screening why they chose this for the title of the film, director Buddy Candela responded, "I have no idea."
Classic.
Wow.
That's pretty That's pretty neat. Yeah. But yeah, that I do remember that. I do. But it was still, I think it still turned out okay.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you remember, because like when you're working like close with an actor, like sometimes you want to like push their buttons a little bit. And
oh yeah, I do remember, yeah.
Kind of like the Paul Heyman JR
do you know what I'm
scenarios?
Sort of. But Jesse, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know. I remember Buddy's famous direction to me used to be "suck less," which was it's funny because you work on those sets with you guys, and I know like you guys were still sort of getting the hang of working with actors, and we're still getting the hang of taking direction from you guys. So everyone's trying to kind of be sensitive with the other person and think of like, okay, what's the best way to approach this without acting like I'm not appreciating what they're doing. So usually you'd go into like, hey, like, oh, that was a good job, like, but maybe try doing it this way, or you try just being as sensitive as you can. But with Buddy, because we were already like good friends, he didn't care about any of that stuff. So he would just walk up to me and say, hey, Jesse, suck less. Just walk away. I think
because it started as like a rib. Like it started like
Yeah.
I was like because I was like telling like the other directors like, all right, next time Jesse like screws up a scene, I'm gonna like cause a riot or something. So we're doing this scene where Jesse's sitting in his car, and the villain, not to give anything away of who the villain is, you can go watch it. It's a 12-minute film.
Yeah,
the viewers. No, I'm telling the viewers.
Okay,
you can go watch it.
I've obviously seen it 100 times.
Yes. The villain gets in the car and pulls the gun out on Jesse, and Jesse just keeps laughing, or he doesn't say his line right, or just something happened. But we ended up having to do this particular shot multiple times because just this thought of this guy sitting in a chair, and he's the friendliest guy ever, sits in this chair and like pulls out a gun and trying to take it seriously is the most ridiculous thing. So Jesse keeps laughing and laughing, and then eventually after like the 10th take or something, I'm just like, stop the camera. And I didn't say it like that ridiculous. Like people were like scared for
Stop the camera.
People were like scared for like half a second. I walk over to the car where the car windows roll down. I like squat down to his level. I'm like looking around and I'm just like, suck less, and I just walk away.
Yeah, it's especially tough when you've been filming for 24 hours too, to like stop. For I think we both just get slap happy after a while and just start laughing and stuff. So, Buddy would definitely tell me when it was time to stop sucking and actually start doing the scene the right way. But that was helpful advice. I prefer someone tell me something like that than try to color code it. So
yeah,
I always appreciated that.
So any closing thoughts on Ristretto?
No. I mean, it was the first time doing the 48 hour. I thought it was a good experience, and I think
did you do another after? Because that was my first and last 48 hour. I don't know. Did you do it?
Yeah, I ended up doing another one a few years or 2 years later, probably with Get the Pics, which was Welcome to PKE, which that was Get the Pics. So we ended up making Sic Transit Gloria. Yeah. So yeah, if we jump to that.
Yeah.
PKE was sort of like the acoustic version of what Sic Transit Gloria would eventually become, and that started as a 48-hour film as well. But that was kind of like John and I, the director of Sic Transit, decided we wanted to do the 48-hour that year. I told him I had done it once; he had never done it before. We drove to the place to get our ideas, to get our category, like our film and everything. But backing up a little bit before that, I had been telling John that I always wanted to make a documentary about fraternities because I just really don't like them at all. And I think going
literally before this episode, Jared was like, "Oh, is this Jesse guy your fraternity brother?"
I didn't even say, like, we were getting ready to come on here. My girlfriend's like, "Oh, who are you guys interviewing?" I was like, "Oh, it's one of Buddy's fucking fraternity buddies from college."
No, I think my time at Kent State and both my roommates are in fraternities, and going to frat houses on weekends, you see like just the worst kind of people imaginable. So I always just hated those kind of people and that kind of behavior. So I'd always said that it was like my dream to make a documentary to just really expose the stupidity behind a lot of frat life. And that's what I always told John. And like John would, he kind of like entertain me a little bit. Not that he ever would actually want to make that, but he's like, "Oh yeah, it's an interesting idea." So anyway, we get our 48 hour, and it's our genre is sports adventure movie. We have to have a bus driver in it. We have
Sports
adventure.
Yeah,
okay.
That was our genre. Yeah. So
is that
we
like
drive.
Space Jam?
Sort of.
We drive back to his house to start planning everything. We get all of our cast and crew together, and a lot of the cast we were able to assemble was primarily just male and primarily our age and a little bit younger. And we're going over all these ideas of things we can do. We go on for like 2 hours conceptualizing and writing a little bit, and eventually one of the guys yells out like, "Man, it'd be cool like he mentioned something about fraternity, like if we did like a fraternity thing," and like a light just clicked on in my head, and I was like, "John, this is the chance to make like the frat movie that I've been telling you I want to make." So I said that to the guys, and the guys like, "Would you want to do like a movie that just like makes it like fraternities look stupid and like expose that?" And during the time, like I remember James Franco's movie Goat at Sundance, and I don't think it had come out yet, but there were starting to be trailers of that, which was going to be a fraternity movie where they show kind of the absurdity of it. And we kind of said, "Oh yeah, that's kind of a cool idea." So we started talking about doing that, and everybody was on board for it. So we kind of ran with it, and I ended up writing the screenplay for that. Sat down that night for about 2 to 3 hours, wrote the script, brought it back out to our cast. Everybody was on board. Shot around the clock, similar to what we did with Ristretto, and then turned that in that night. But the reason I say it was kind of the acoustic version of Sic Transit is because in a way I think Sic Transit also shows the sort of like absurd things that can happen when you get a group of guys together living in one space, and what sort of comes with no real moral compass or no idea of leadership or what's going on. So. Yeah. And we had basically the same cast that we had for PKE came back and joined us for Sic Transit. So that's why it's kind of like the beginning stages of it. And while we were making PKE, John and I had begun to conceptualize Sic Transit. So it was kind of in the back of our heads. It also gave us the idea, filming wise, that we wanted to use all artificial lighting, that we wanted to do long tracking shots and that kind of stuff. So that was sort of like the beginning stages of it.
Yeah. So before we dive fully into that, because that's really what I want to talk about, because I want to learn more about it. But in between that, you did another comedy feature, and you did like Goodbye Ohio. You did some short films. So just like briefly, let's go over some of the other stuff because I want to cover everything you've done. So just kind of like tell us.
Well, the comedy feature you're talking about, The Sparrow.
The Tale of is it a tale or the tale of it?
The Tale of the Sparrow, which was actually John's first feature film that he made a few years ago. And that's when John started working with Geauga Lyric Theater Guild, who premiered that for him, and who then ended up premiering Sic Transit for us and helping us do all of our casting. He made Tale of the Sparrow, which was a straight comedy movie that I played a small part in. And that was a movie about a guy who decides he's kind of bored in his small town and decides he wants to become a superhero, ends up being one by causing all these crimes himself and then saving the day. So he's kind of like a liar in that aspect of it. So he ends up kind of learning a lesson through that you shouldn't lie to people and shouldn't do those sort of things. But it was like a straight comedy. So John didn't really have and neither did I really have any real experience working with like straight drama type stuff. But that was Tell the Sparrow. And then the other one you mentioned, Goodbye Ohio, was a short that a friend of mine, Jess Smith, had written, who lives in California, that she wrote about an experience she had. And she sent that to me while I was at Kent State, I remember, because I remember reading the first script in my apartment there that she had wanted to make for a while. And she asked if I'd be interested in it. I said, yeah. This is before she had a director or had anything together for it. Mike Wendt, who you know, buddy, Cleveland director, ended up reading the script, really wanted to make it. Jess said, yeah, I have a guy in mind for the guy part. And I said, that's great, but I still want to see him audition. So I still had to audition for it, even though she had recommended me for it. So I had to send Mike Wendt an audition tape. He ended up casting me in it. And then you guys all ended up being able to work on the production as well.
Yeah.
We did that in Sugar Falls. So that was a short film about a girl who had sort of a shaky past with an ex-boyfriend who is planning on moving to New York, and she wants to meet with him one last time to sort of have a conversation about where things went wrong and where the future is going to be. So that was really great. Jess is an amazing writer, and I was really happy to be a part of that one. And it was great. It was great because I still got to work with all you guys, got to meet Mike Wendt, who's also become a frequent collaborator with me. Got to work with Jesse, who we've continued to write together. So yeah, those are kind of the two big things I think I'd say in between the Kent State stuff and Sic Transit Gloria.
Yeah. So I guess let's just dive right in. So you wrote the script for it as well as starring it. So tell us about all that.
Yeah, I'll tell you about all that.
All of it.
Well, Sic Transit was an idea that John came to me with and said that John and I, first of all, had been, after we did PKE, before PKE, we just talked about wanting to make, first of all, a feature film and write together, wanting to direct together, and what would we want to make. And we would spitball a lot of ideas back and forth, but nothing really stuck. I mean, it always kind of seemed like one person was more committed to the idea than the other one. And so they never really took off. One day, John came to me and said, I have an idea. It would be called Rise of the Young, and it would be about just the world where only kids are left living, and they're kind of ruling they've kind of taken over. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. There's no, like we said before, no real moral compass. They're just kind of free for all. And when he said that, it sort of sparked that, like my desire again to make that absurd fraternity movie. It kind of it sparked my brain that way. And then that same day, for some reason, I had read a quote online which said, "We're a generation who's drowning in information but starving for wisdom." And I thought what he was explaining with this idea kind of went hand in hand with that quote. So after he told me that, I told him I really did not like the title Rise of the Young at all, but I really liked the idea. So we sat there, I think, for a good hour and just discussed what that would look like. And I made it very clear to him that I'd be so much more focused on who's living in that world and who the people are, more so than I'd be focused on what the event had happened and why they're living that way. I really wanted it to be character focused, and I really wanted it to be theme focused. So we discussed it for a long time. We then decided, let's start meeting up and putting this together. So I'd go to John's house, I think once or twice a week, and we'd sit in the basement and we would just get note cards together. We'd draw on a chalkboard. We'd map out all the characters. And we map out what the world would look like. And we did that for weeks and weeks before we even started putting pen to paper and actually writing the script. So it was a little bit different for me because when I've written scripts in the past, usually I kind of have an idea where I want to take it, but I don't really have every single thing figured out. And we didn't really with this either, but we did have a good idea of who's at least going to be existing in this world and where they are and all those kind of big points figured out before we started writing. So once we had all that figured out, it was time to start actually like putting it all together and actually writing the script. So before we did that, John and I put together a playlist of music, which was really important for us that we thought related to the world we were trying to create. And it was a bunch of different, we had like Radiohead on there and The National, and I know Kid A specifically by Radiohead was a huge inspiration just in the way that it kind of talks about a world almost drowned out by technology. And this how this information creates a false sense of confidence in people where they can start taking over because they feel like they have everything at their fingertips. And we thought that's kind of what these kids are thinking. But we just started writing, and we just sit in John's basement or in John's room and just write for hours. And the script itself took about 6 months to create. And it was really dark. It was really ambitious. We would write it with thinking like, okay, this has to be a long take. This has to be with all art. This has to be with all, no artificial lighting. Everything has to look real. And it seemed so ambitious to the point that in the back of our minds while writing it, at least for me, I won't speak for him, I was thinking, okay, we'll probably never actually make this. And the weird thing is having that mindset allowed you to write whatever you wanted to write. Because I'd never written something with the mindset of I probably won't make it. I'm just going to write what I want to write. And so we did that. And then we turned it in, and we were finished with it, and we started submitting it to some people to look at, and some people whose opinions we trust started telling us, I think you guys actually have something really good here. As a piece of writing, it's really strong. It'd be great if you guys started to make it. So John, from the beginning, he had the director mindset of I know how I'm going to shoot this. I know how it can be made, which I didn't have. I had never personally directed before, so I didn't understand, all the bells and whistles there, but he did. So John was the one who went to Jug Lyric Theater and explained to them what we had, and explained to them that he wanted to do some casting through them, and then at some point when it's all finished, premiered there and sort of make like a summer program out of it for their actors, and they were totally on board with it in that way. So we were able to do all of our casting through Jug Lyric Theater Guild. We held an open casting call. The movie was, like we said, primarily young cast. We had kids come out and read monologues and do scenes from the movie. We also had our cast that we tapped into from PKE, who wanted to help out as well. Started putting that together. The movie primarily takes place at a really rundown, disgusting house, sort of in the middle of nowhere. It just so happens that John's girlfriend lives in Huntsburg, Ohio, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere, across the street from a really rundown house that was on Hoarders. And she was like, guys, I think I have the perfect house for you. So John and I went and saw that house, and it was so disgusting. But we looked at it and like, this is actually perfect for our movie. We need to shoot here. So we ended up using that. Using that house. We were able to get our cast to sort of take 1 week out of their summer to focus 100% on this movie. So we got a lot of principal photography done in 1 week. The rest of it we did kind of on weekends or nights and finished it off that way. And then we ended up finishing it and premiering it at the Jog Lyric Guild last Saturday, which was just a huge triumph for the mountain we kind of climbed with it. So that was sort of the steps, around it. But yeah, that's
how long did it take to? Because you texted me at some point in December, like late November. You're like, hey, I just did a film. I'd love for you to check it out or whatever. Yeah. And I thought it was like a short, and then you send me this private link, and I open it up. It's like an hour and 50 minutes. I was like, what the hell? I was like, you shot a feature?
Well, that was one thing. John wanted to keep it quiet too. He wanted it almost to be a secret because when he made The Sparrow, he noticed that once he kind of promoted the fact that he was making a movie, expectations sort of really kind of was a weight on him, and everyone wanted to know when's it going to be finished. And with this, he wanted to be clear that he was not going to release it until he knew it was finished. So it was almost helpful on his side to not have people know we were making it, because that way no one's on his back about when we're going to get to see it. kind of did. We kept it quiet. But it was probably between writing it and having a finished product, a good year and a half altogether. 6 months to write it, I'd say, maybe 3 months of pre-production, and then another 3 months of editing, and 3 months of writing, 6 months of writing, 3 months of probably shooting, and then another 3 months of editing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was quite the process. And being that we were filming it in kind of the middle of nowhere in Huntsburg, Ohio, helped for us to keep it quiet too. That not many people out there really knew what we were doing or knew what we were up to. Then when it was finally done, John wrote on the Get the Pics Productions Facebook page, secretly we've been making this movie, and here it is. Here's a trailer for it. And I think it took a lot of people by surprise. I think they had the same reaction you did. Like, I had no idea you guys were making a feature film, but yeah, it worked out well.
What made you? Because the other script of yours I've read, Tiny Vessels, is obviously named after the Dashboard Confessional song.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what made you pick the title for this one specifically.
Well, Sic Transit Gloria was a phrase we really liked. I mean, it's Latin for "Thus passes the glory of the world." We felt like this was definitely a movie about how glory was fleeting, and you can definitely see that in the characters. So it's a phrase I've always liked, and we've heard it in pop culture quite a bit. But I felt like it was just really germane to this idea. So it just kind of fit really well. I liked the way that it kind of gave the movie more of an academic feel to it, because I think the script is definitely more focused on theme than it is on plot. So if the title itself sort of draws in that kind of audience, then we're happy to bring them in to see it. So I just it's a phrase we liked, and we thought it fit really well. So that's what it kind of was the focus for it. Like you said with Tiny Vessels, though, primarily when I write things, usually I do use either a popular phrase or a song title is usually what ends up being the title of the movie. And that's just because I think that usually there's certain songs or titles of other things that end up drawing inspiration from me to sit down and write something. So by titling it that, it's almost like pointing at your influences and sort of saying this is what kind of drew it out of me. And with this, it was honestly just the phrase that just kind of felt right while we were writing.
Are you saying it's just the phrase because it was just the phrase, or is it the brand new controversy? Don't want to associate yourself. Nope.
I will say one thing though. When that controversy came out, we did have a long discussion about changing the title. And we ultimately decided against it because we knew that I will not lie and say that the brand new song was in the back of my head, because the brand new song is a lot about losing innocence, and that's a lot what the movie's about too. So it definitely was, I definitely knew of it, but it definitely wasn't the only reason that we called it that. So we felt still comfortable keeping it what it was. But the funny story was, my girlfriend, she has a relative who knew when the movie came out. She texted Megan and said, "Hey, Megan, is Sic Transit Gloria based on the brand new song?" And Megan just, "Oh yeah, I think that was an influence when they were writing it." And her aunt just responds, "Oh, so is the movie about rape?" And I was like, no, not at all.
It's the losing of innocence, rape. I mean, come on.
Yeah. As you know, as we both were big brand new fans, we obviously would know that song. But I would not say that was the only inspiration for it.
All I know about the film is what you've told me about it. Obviously, it sounds very different than most of the stuff that you've done, actually done.
Yeah, no, yeah, I would definitely say that it is, but I definitely say that on the sort of on a more human level with it, it's similar to some other things I've written, because and then that was the person in me wanting to focus more on the characters than on the plot itself, which kills me. Like every time I describe the movie to somebody, the first word that jumps into my head was, how do I explain it to them? And I always use the word apocalyptic, which I hate. I hate that word because it doesn't really reflect what the movie is. Taking place in an apocalyptic time, but it's not at all about an apocalyptic event. It's about people living during this time, what they would be doing, and what circumstances they're in and decisions they make.
It's more like what's that movie? It's more like Children of Men than it is. This is the end.
Exactly. Yes, that's totally right. And that's, I said from the beginning, that's where we wanted to keep the focus, because that's what interested us a lot more, was that story than as to what would the event would be. So on that level, I mean, all the stuff I've written in the past usually is about people, and I think that even though this is on a grander scale, it's no different than that. I mean, the circumstances have changed, but it still very much is about the people in the event.
Was this the first time that you acted in something that you wrote, or because I don't know if you, because you didn't write an episode a second time around, did you?
No, I didn't. Like I said, no. The only exception would be Welcome to PKE, which was the 48-hour film that I wrote and also acted in. This was the first time doing something this big, like a feature, acting in a feature I had written.
What's that like?
Good. I mean, it was good. Because I knew that my role on set was going to be more than just acting. It was important to me that I worked with the actors really well too, to help them understand their characters. So we made a very detailed backstory for each of our main characters to give them, so they knew. And then I had just really long discussions with each person about who their character was, where they had come from, what their motivations were. And then help them to sort of creatively figure out their own ideas for their characters too. But what helped with that was me being in the movie. I'm part of this world with them now. I'm actually acting with them. They see me on set every day as part of it. So I think that helped in that aspect of it. And then just as an actor getting into character, I mean, if you've written a character out and you've written a movie, I mean, you're already really in that headspace. So in that regard, I think it helped a great deal to have written it and then to act in it. I didn't know I was going to be acting in it. When I wrote it, we definitely didn't have that in mind. Once it was finished, I got the call from John saying, "Hey, I'd like you to play Jonas, this main character," and that was totally his call. We had already auditioned for that role and everything, and once he said that, I was like, "Yeah, I'd definitely be happy to do it." But I definitely think that acting something you've written, I'd say, is definitely an advantage to it, as opposed to a disadvantage, because you understand the world really well and you understand your character very well.
Do you have anything to add about this film? Because I'm as clueless as you about it. Yeah. I haven't seen it, so
I don't think you're as clueless as me, but maybe close. So, like, you'd heard of it before. Today, you just walked right up to me and like, all right, so we got this. We got my friend from school, and he just directed this movie.
Well, he wrote this movie.
Wrote the movie, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I never.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You knew more about it than me, based specifically on that you were friends with the writer.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Yes. I hope you both check it out now that you have the.
Yes.
But there may be some changes made even since I sent you that link. Actually, so if you guys do get a chance to watch it.
Well, I will be watching it. I'm contractually required to watch it.
Oh.
That's true.
Is it going to be on Letterboxd so I could give my defining rating?
Actually, it's not. We hadn't even discussed that, but that's not a bad idea. Right now, we're submitting it to.
It doesn't even have an IMDb yet. Because
nice.
when I was at work today, I was like on IMDb. I was like, all right, do they have like trivia on here or anything? Not even. Page doesn't even exist. Not yet.
So we're working on that. Right now, we're submitting it to festivals. As you know, we have the encore showing on Sunday, January 21st, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But eventually, we'll get some DVDs made and all that good stuff. But right now, we just kind of want to see. It's been received very well. We did some test screenings for some filmmakers we knew, some people whose opinions we just trusted, and the feedback we've gotten has all been positive. So we've been really happy with that. We just kind of want to see where it goes with the festival circuit and see how people keep approaching it, and see what kind of life it has.
Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next on the horizon there?
Well, our composer for Sic Transit Gloria, Andrew Kotlar, wrote a short film titled "A Walk in the Valley," which we just met and discussed the other day, and we're going to be shooting this weekend. So that'll be the next thing going on. On top of that, Jess Smith and I wrote a script a long time ago called Porcupine, which we've been trying to get made for a while. And I know we've been talking to Mike Wendt about it and having those discussions, and maybe sometime on the horizon that'll get done. But those are kind of the two things that we're working on right now. So we'll see what happens with those.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Before we close things out, there is one more thing I wanted to ask you about. One of your other legacies, besides the acting and writing and all that, you orchestrated a pretty large prank on one of your friends a few years ago.
Yeah. I think I probably shouldn't use his name because he actually hates those videos more than you.
I was telling him about it before we started rolling.
That's pretty elaborate, honestly.
The start of it was I had a friend who said that
Or have?
I do. I have. He's a very good friend. Known him since I was little. Who one day we were talking and he mentioned how he thought Taylor Swift was the most beautiful woman in the world, and when he made that statement, it just kind of prompted me to want to keep pushing and seeing how far he'd go with that statement. So I was like, oh, so you would date Taylor Swift no matter what? And he goes, yeah, no matter what. And I'm like, would you date her even if she made you wear a dress all the time? And he thinks about it. He's like, yeah, I think I still would. And I'm like, well, Taylor Swift is notorious for writing songs about guys after she breaks up with them. So what if she wrote a song after she made you wear a dress all these years? She writes a song about you and she calls it Boy in a Dress. And I'm like, would you be okay with that? He's like, yeah, it'd probably still be worth it. So then I told Buddy that, and for some reason, that was amazing to me that he said that. So I made a video the next day of me with a guitar in my hands, just strumming it, saying, hey, this is a song called Boy in a Dress. This is the song Taylor Swift would make, and just strumming it and making BS lyrics. And then I sent that to him, and he was like, all right, that's funny, whatever. And then I showed Buddy that video. I'm like, yeah, this is a video I did. And I told Buddy the whole story. And then we got to make more of these. So we started going to all these different people and saying hey, could you just make a quick video called Boy in a Dress and sing something?
People are like, what?
Yeah. And we kept asking people, and we ended up making 65 of these videos that we would send to this guy every single morning, every day, of a new video of somebody new saying, hey, this is Boy in a Dress part whatever, and and do a little something for him. So somewhere I have stored, I think it's on an old computer, 65 videos. But I think that project, more than anything else I've done, was really what I'm most proud of. Is the Boy.
I think the main ones
I thought what you were most proud of was a documentary that never got made.
Yeah, okay, this is the second most.
I think the most notable ones I remember are obviously Caleb on the drums freestyle.
Yes, that was great.
And I remember for some reason, the ones that I got my friends to do, they took it really seriously. I remember all the ones that the heel recorded were actual songs about the boy in the dress.
I know,
yeah.
Keegan made a great song. You had a friend who did a whole guitar solo and everything, and people got pretty elaborate with it.
Yeah. And then Steve Spencer did the guitar solo, not Ricky. Ricky was not on board for this.
Okay.
But I remember Anna Eliopoulos.
Party pooper.
Yeah, man. I know. Yeah, Ricky sucks. But I remember, you would just go up to people hey, Anna, I need you to make a video saying this is a boy in a dress and then sing a song. And then you just, start recording her and she's like, this is the boy in the dress? And then you just, stop the video, that's fine. And you just, send it.
You didn't want to give anybody too much time to think about it, because then they'd be like, why am I doing this? What is the point of it? You just wanted to do it really quick. Tell them what it is and then quickly get the video. But it worked. We got 65 of them. And then I remember telling my friend one time that I was going to try to bring it back. And he's like, no, you cannot. Promise me you will not do that. He was so adamantly against them.
Because that was 2 months of your life.
It was 2 months of work. It was totally worth it, too. I'm telling you. I still want to get to 100. Even if we just made enough, to get to 100, I'd be happy.
I remember Bobby's was good as well, because he was just singing Taylor Swift. He's like, baby, just say yes. That was probably my favorite one.
That was a really good one, actually. Yeah, he showed me the guitar. I gotta find him. I'll send him to you if I can find him. They're somewhere.
Like I said, we can edit the name of the friend out, but that would be a hell of a YouTube compilation.
I know. We'll look into it. I might just accidentally put them on YouTube and tell them they got leaked or something.
The press got a hold of it.
The press got a hold of them. What are you gonna do? They're already there.
Well, that's all I had on my agenda to talk about. Did you have any other questions?
No, I'm just now meeting you, so
yeah, it's great meeting.
Nice meeting you. I know I didn't talk much, listening.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a good listener.
I'm a fantastic listener. And I'm gonna check out. So I'm definitely gonna check out what is the second time around because that sounds really interesting to me.
Oh, fun fact about that: we shared the screen together in that for a couple.
We do, yeah.
And we I don't a quote unquote fight sequence.
Oh,
yeah.
Sort of.
But he holds a knife. He holds a knife in one scene.
Oh man.
So
it was interesting.
yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of it.
But yeah, it was great talking to you. I hope to see you soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because we texted.
You still have a script to.
We still have a script to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take another look because I think we got to dive into that pretty soon.
Yeah. And it's not going to be like every other time. We're like, he'll text me like, hey man, we should hang out. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And then like 6 months go by and
6 months go by and now you're on the fucking shitty podcast.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Really, this was
of course. Yeah, and next time you're doing something big, come on again, and it'll be awesome. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and yeah, this is it. This is Buddy the Bruiser signing off.
Dynamite Jared signing off. Thanks, guys.